Janice, and this is my reflection on rap and protest. Now, during the early 1980s, rap wasn't really about protest, it was about showing off wealth, and we can see this in many rappers during this era in their music videos like LL Cool J and Slick Rick, who have nice cars and jewelry in their videos as a way to say that they made it out of the hood and are successful now. As rap got more mainstream and more artists are to become successful, they wanted to portray the area they came from and the struggles they've had to endure. As most rappers during the late 80s and 90s were African American, many of them share the same struggles despite being different locations. For example, the rap group NWA, and that which I'll leave at the acronym because I cannot say what it stands for, who are from Compton in Southern California, share similarities with the lyrics and imagery in their music videos with Northern California Oakland rapper Tupac. These lyrics and imagery mostly tie back to one shared problem, and that would be the police. It seemed like no matter where you went in America during this era, if you were black or brown, chances are when you ran into the police, you would most likely get harassed by them, even if you weren't doing anything wrong at the time. This was caused for a few reasons. One was just plain old racism, as many racist white cops and even some black and brown cops in some cases would just assume, based on the color of someone's skin, that they were doing something illegal, even if they were innocent. Also, the war on drugs had just been reignited by Ronald Reagan during the crack epidemic in the 80s, and American politicians had adopted a rough on crime policy. So, if you were a racist cop looking to stop drugs from getting on the streets and you had full authority to do pretty much whatever you wanted, where would you go? To low-income communities filled with black and brown people just trying to get by. This is the life that many people color face back then, and still do to this day, but back then many white Americans did not realize the full extent of this. It was only when gangster rap got more mainstream and started to come out with songs and music videos about discrimination they faced and believed that they faced in the police force that's supposed to help them. It became clear to many white Americans that this was a real thing. You had to see to believe it, kind of thing. This is clear in many of the imagery used in the two music videos that we watched, Straight Outta Compton by NWA and Trapped by Tupac. In the music video for Straight Outta Compton, we see the members of NWA, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, MC Ren, and DJ Yellow walking through the streets of Compton as police are gearing up, specifically targeting the area of Compton, as a shot of Protect and Serve slogan appears on the screen, which is pretty ironic as police are protecting and serving. They are gearing up tactically to arrest these people. We can see that Compton is not a nice city as well, and the song goes on. We can see the group is being chased by police and being dragged to police van, which many people in these type of communities have either had to deal with or seen their friends or their family having to deal with too. And also in the opening shot of Trap, we see the Protect and Serve logo again on the car, which again highlights the irony of that. This is what the cops are. They're not protecting and serving at all, but they want to pretend that they are. Then the video switches between color when Tupac is on the streets of Oakland and black and white when he's in prison to illustrate the grimness of his situation. And even when he's back on the street, it isn't much better for him or others, as he says, because they never taught peace in the black community. All we know is violence, as they are trapped in a cycle of crime and prison, as there is no opportunities in his community even when they're out on the streets, and even after they get out of prison, they have records, so getting a job isn't easy, so they have to resort back to dealing drugs or crime to get by to support their families. And I believe these artists use these images to represent themselves because it was the truth, and it was the truth, and it was where they came from. They wanted people to know the struggles they faced every day due to a system that kept them down, and the truth isn't pretty, and they wanted to portray that. I believe this type of music was important then because the public, mostly white Americans, did not know the extent of the police brutality on these low-income communities, especially when this was right around the time of Rodney King assault, as Straight Outta Compton released 2 years prior, and Trap released literally the same year, a few months after. And for those who don't know, Rodney King was a black man who led police on a high-speed pursuit, and when he was caught, he was brutally beaten even after he was subdued. But luckily, it was all caught on camera, and it spread like wildfire across the country, and which led to widespread protests and riots. And this, along with the music from these rappers who experienced this stuff on a pretty much a daily basis, but wasn't caught on camera, this started to change the public's perception of police, that they weren't these heroes in blue. They were normal, usually racist people who used their power for not good things. And this, gratefully, this led to some reforms, such as like we now have body cameras on our police officers, which sometimes mysteriously shut off for some reason. But they're there a lot of the times, and it stopped a lot of the stop and frisk laws, which gave police power to stop pretty much any minority they wanted on suspicion and arrest them for nothing. And even though things have gotten better, there is still a problem with police that we've seen just only a few years ago with George Floyd, which started another wave of protests and riots over the police treatment of minorities. And there's many other cases throughout the years, even this year, where police overuse their force against people of color. And music will always, and we can see this in a lot of music artists, like music will always evoke entertainment and protest, especially in rap music, as majority for these artists were from low-income communities and still face this discrimination today. And they write about their experience, like artists like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. They talk about their experience in their music and where they came from and how they used to came from an area that was not so good, and now they have that ability to not live there anymore, but they still want to talk about that community. And that's why I think um, talking about politics and music is so important, because it's a way for these artists to express their emotions and their feelings about their situation.